Oh, I think there are so many reasons why Scouting is just really important to me. Having been involved in Scouting, I've seen young men and young women grow so personally, and it's changed their lives. As they interact with one another and with leaders, they grow. They grow into men and women who positively impact the world around them. They're able to have positive role models through their leaders and through their families. And they're raised with values that sometimes aren't found any other place. And it's through Scouting that they become individuals with character. And in our world today, that's just unbelievably important.
Scouting is important to me because it provides a program that you can't find in a traditional classroom. When I was growing up, a number of people made sacrifices for me as a young scout. It's a way for me to repay that, in essence, to pay it forward.
I think Scouting is one of the most important programs that we currently have as a nation. The amount of changes that we make in our youth, the leadership skills that are developed, the experiences that the youth get that they otherwise would never be exposed to, it's a vital program.
I think that Scouting has made me a better person. The Scout law and the Scout oath are really important. It really makes you think about those things and why those are important. And when you're a leader trying to teach these things to kids, it really makes you think about what are the things that I could do that would help a kid understand why those things are important.
Scouting has made me a better leader, both inside and outside the Scouting program. My Wood Badge training has taught me to better communicate and interact with people in all aspects of life.
I never planned to be as involved in Scouting as I've become. However, it's much like the classic example of a committee meeting where you all gather around the table and you know that you have to appoint a new scoutmaster and everybody averts their eyes because they don't want to be the chosen one. I did so because someone needed to step up, but I gained so much in return that has really become very fulfilling. There's an adage that I like, and the adage says, you make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. And to me, that's the essence of Scouting. Scouts and youth are seeds that we have an opportunity to nourish, and it truly is a privilege and an honor to be able to have that kind of an influence on a young man's life. I've benefited much more than I can imagine the Scouts have, and I've become a better person because of it.
Probably the funniest moment was when I was at Philmont and my tent mate had already gone to bed, and when I wound up opening the flap to get into my sleeping bag, he'd been dreaming about a bear attacking him. And he was pretty sure when I came through in his half-asleep state that I was a bear, not that a bear would come through the front flap of the tent, and just absolutely started wailing on me fighting off a bear. That was a moment I don't think I'll ever forget.
For me, my most memorable moment was finishing the mini backpacking experience in the Wood Badge course that I took last fall. I was really not prepared for backpacking, and my patrol members were total champions, helping me learn about the backpacking and finish that whole experience. For that experience, I was definitely the weak link in my team, and I really understood at the end of that how a strong team lifts everybody and helps everybody learn.
You know, it's all the times that I had those 6 boys in my garage making crafts, playing with derby cars, and making a general mess of my garage, but it was fantastic.
94, my first year on camp staff, my dad helped me build a kennel down at the Nature Lodge. And with the wear and tear and the dilapidation, 30 years later, when I returned to camp to start working and help improving. I came up to that kennel and the roof was caved in and it was a mess. So a really memorable moment for me was remembering when I was helping my dad, or actually my dad was helping me, build that. And at that time, 30 years later, in 2004, my son helped me rebuild that kennel. And it was pretty touching. It was really, really a neat experience.
Since I work in scouting to Cub Scout, Boy Scout, and venturing, I've seen Scout develop over time. And outdoor program is a very important. It's an environment that where you can see the Scout, the true character, the good, the bad side. And from there, you help them to grow, to learn, to grow, and develop. Learn new skill and experience new adventure.
I've seen young men who were timid, thought they couldn't get much done, who thought they were dying after they'd gone a few hundred yards down a trail, grow into young men who were able to get up in front of a group of people, speak to them, provide guidance, lead people, were able to go on a 50-miler and realize that they could take care of themselves, and that when life got hard, they could push through it.
Well, being assistant scoutmaster, being in the unit, I've seen just the growth taking place for the youth that's there. Because they start off pretty young, and then if they keep at it, they've grown immensely, and that's neat to see. But what really impacted me was years later, a scout that had gone through our unit was over at our house with my sons, and he stopped and thanked me for, putting up with him being in the unit, just, being there for him and just taking them on all these outings and allowing this, because it was such good memories for him, and it was touching to me that he felt enough to let me know. And you don't get that feedback very often, but so that's a real cherished memory.
Well, as an adult, I started in scouting as a Tiger Cub leader when my son joined Cub Scouts, and kind of followed him through the path of scouting, bridged into Boy Scouts when he bridged, and watching these young boys grow and mature and turn into the responsible young men that they are today has been really awe-inspiring for me.
With all the negative influences, in the community today, scouting is critical to developing our youth and making them responsible adults. And they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And so we need to build a strong foundation so that they do well.
I think the opportunities are immense. Sure, there's a lot of sports where they can learn all sorts of skills and so on, but I think scouting has such unique opportunities. It gets them to the outdoors. Yes, there's leadership skills that they get too, but I also think there's other skills. I remember one scout we were on an outing and he never flipped pancakes, and his job was to cook breakfast that morning, and he had so much fun flipping pancakes that he insisted on fixing breakfast the next morning. And everybody in the troop loved it, and they remember his pancakes, and it was the first time he'd ever done it. So these unique skills and opportunities that the scouts get. And I think another good one is just getting them unplugged from the electronics for the time while they're up on the mountains. It's just, it gets them other opportunities and experiences.
Well, I think the importance of scouting for today's youth is in developing a well-rounded individual that's exposed to various aspects of life, the outdoors, leadership, striving towards goals, and not just retreating into a world of video games and very limited exposure to their peers and to other adults.
Scouting at its very core is based on the Oath and Law. And if you look at what is contained in the Oath and Law, it gives our youth direction and values which will help them become contributing members of society. And that is at the very heart of Scouting. The programs that we have and all the different opportunities give youth experiences that they may have never had before. I've seen youth that have never been in the outdoors. They've never seen a waterfall. They've never gone and been in the outdoors. They've never camped. And on the same hand, we've had youth who've never had structured activities regarding STEM. But all of those are guided by principles and values that are sometimes lacking in society. We have leaders who are trained to guide them and to direct them. We can have families participate, and they're all based on these principles that are designed to help youth be leaders in our society. So we have these great opportunities for youth. And I think that they can literally be the leaders of tomorrow that change the world.
Scouting is a family, particularly for those that have none. And Scouting is wonderful because there's an adventure around every corner. And it's a fun program, and that's what draws the youth back.